to see if we have a short anywhere else on the board other than here.
Hey, Moss. Are you there? I can't hear you if you're there. I see you. Nope, your lips are moving, no sound is coming out. Yes, just like that. Just like that. Now I can hear you.
You can?
But it sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, I'm fixing it.
That should be better.
Oh, yeah. Much better.
It didn't want to hook up to my microphone. It wanted to hook up to the webcam mic.
I hate it when that happens.
It happens. That looks good. Maybe I'll shut my video off after all. I found these Mexican cinnamon rolls. They're Bimbo brand, and I can only find them at the local Walmart. I've tried various other Walmarts we go to, and they don't seem to have them.
And your camera killed.
Yeah, because I look funny chewing without teeth. Very sensitive to these things. There's Norbert.
And there's a wayward Norbert.
The Norward Waybert?
Mm-hmm. No clue.
Sonar.
Okay, so apparently I haven't managed to get I got a new laptop and I haven't managed to. I had some sound issues and the internal microphone I can't use it yet. So I had to just connect the USB one. Can you hear me?
No.
Yes.
Great.
Maybe.
Not sure.
Not sure was also someone named Joe.
Because it's quantum event and it's like 50% chance that you can hear me.
I'd say like a 33% chance.
I had some weird stuff happening with the audio. I will tell about that in the show next week. But apparently my audio works fine in Void, but only sound. So only the speakers are working currently in Debian, which I mean.
Joe, did you see I pointed out that with 3 seats open, you got the fourth most votes?
Three seats open, I got the fourth most votes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you go and look at the numbers?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, but for mine, it was just me and Amy.
Yeah, Amy kind of doubled your vote, but she was also the highest number of votes total.
Yeah. But that's because in our spot there wasn't 3 people.
Well, you wouldn't have won in any of the districts, but if there were 4 openings, you would have.
Yeah.
If anyone drops out, you're the logical contender, right?
No. Look, if anyone drops out, then the rest of the board gets to pick who they want on there, and they'll probably pick either Kelly, the incumbent that got knocked out, or Bill Parker, who works for another school district.
But what's the point of the vote then, if they can just pick someone?
Oh no, that's if someone drops out midterm.
Okay, but okay.
There were 3 seats open, Norbert.
Yeah.
Joe got the fourth most votes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if someone drops out midterm, then their replacement won't have a full term, but they can only serve until the next vote. Okay.
And they get selected by the board that's seated, not by the number of votes in the last election.
Yeah, that's how one of the seats was this time around. One of the board members had passed away due to COVID, and the seat was open, so they asked someone that had previously been a board member, not someone that, almost won an election or anything, but someone that had just stopped being a board member because they wanted to stop, and had them come in and take over until this election cycle.
Did any intelligent people win?
Well, the person I was running against, Amy, she's not stupid. She's really not. But the other two people that won, and I think it was because there was a split vote type of thing going on there, the other two people were both We the People of Allen, and We the People is like rebranded QAnon, and they might have 4 brain cells between the two of them.
Right.
I mean, I mean, one of the people that got voted in, actually, you can find her on Facebook, and you can see evidence where she was denigrating people with disabilities. And she still got voted in. Did not matter.
Well, it's a very Trumpish thing to do. He did that too.
Well, yeah. And her husband likes to display the rebel flag in the front yard.
Well,
Oh, so the Star Wars rebel flag. Okay.
No, not that one.
I know, but I never heard
If
it.
he
being called
if he was putting up that rebel flag, I'd probably go over and see if he wanted to hang out.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. You are talking about the Confederate Army
Yes,
flag, right?
the Confederate flag.
Yeah. Which I never heard it called the rebel flag before. That's
The
why
rebel
my mind
flag.
went to.
The battle flag. You hear it called
Yeah.
different things down here in the South because they don't want to admit that it was about slavery. They want to say it was about seceding from the Union. Which, from a certain perspective,
Yes, but why did they want to secede from the Union? Because
States' rights.
it's states' rights. Now, granted, that did
states' rights
stem
to do what?
To own
secede
slaves,
from
yes.
the Union.
Yes.
No. But you have to get the rest of the logic there behind what they're saying. And it is somewhat understandable because you had 1% of the population that actually owned slaves during that time period. So you're telling me that of half a nation, 1% owned slaves. And so all of the other 99% of the people in the South were like, yes, let's make it so those 1% rich folk can keep owning slaves.
Because
That's what we're
supposedly-
doing now. 1% of the rich people own everything in the U.S. Yeah.
But supposedly 99% still benefited from the economy, which was driven by slavery.
That is the point.
I'm
But
just telling
every single document of secession had the primary point being slavery.
I'm just telling you the logic that people are using. Not that I
Yeah,
agree with it.
Okay.
You're telling us the obfuscation that people are using to not admit that it was about slavery.
The bullshit that they're feeding themselves.
Yeah.
What came to mind is how there was a recording of Trump making fun of a disabled person, but I guess that's still somehow that in this day and age that doesn't end someone's political career.
It makes them more popular. How in the hell does that happen? And then with the Roe
He
v.
is
Wade,
giving us the right to hate somebody and say
Yeah.
we're better than them.
with the Roe v. Wade stuff that's coming up, it's looking like a really bad time to be in Texas, especially if you're female, or if you're a
that-
man that likes having sex.
But past 5 years, that has been my impression of being in the U.S.
It's
From
not
over here.
honestly. It's a lot of the U.S., especially the Midwest and certain chunks of the Eastern Seaboard. But there are still places where logic works, I assume, here in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw a meme on another of my Discord groups. It says Elon Musk is really doing an incredible job educating the public about how capitalists end up aligning with fascists to maintain their wealth and limit the power of the working classes. Crickets.
I'm not
I-
sure
so-
how that all relates.
Could you repeat that? I was only paying half attention to half of it.
Elon Musk is really doing an incredible job educating the public about how capitalists end up aligning with fascists to maintain their wealth and limit the power of the working classes.
So
Isn't
how
that exactly what the secession was, Joe?
More or less.
what does he does he or
He
does he
just,
do any
a few days ago, he said the Democrats are the party of division, and so he's going to be a Republican.
uh,
Is he living in the same America?
Apparently not, but then his dad owns slaves in diamond mines.
I mean, seriously, how can anybody say that it's the Democrats that are causing?
Ask Elon. He said it. Anyhow, that
uh,
was the whole point there.
yeah, over here we had a right wing government for like for about 12 years in a row because the left, as much as people, so it's kind of the same in here as in the sense that the right wing government managed to polarize the country a lot, but somehow the left can't really get their stuff together and to give an impression of a functioning political system. So I assume a lot of people want to see the government changed, but there's just so the left doesn't look like it could work.
Well, the Democrats are not the left. The Democrats are at best the center, and then maybe a little right of center, except for the liberal wing.
So, and who's the left?
There is no left party. There
Well,
are leftists that the Democrats
there's-
talk into voting for them because they're not Republicans.
There's the libertarians, but they don't really count.
That's not left. Libertarian is as far right as you get. Yeah, I want mine and you can't have yours.
Oh yeah,
Yes, but that
less government.
as things are, it's basically just two parties that matter, and
Yeah, there's only two parties that matter,
Yeah.
and they both suck.
The liberal wing of the Democratic Party keeps being convinced by the main wing of the Democratic Party that they cannot be a viable party by themselves, and so they should vote for the Democrats because they're not Republicans.
so over here.
That's a good point, though. They're not
over here,
Republicans.
the right wing government is formed. It's a coalition of two parties. I'm not sure if I'm using the word coalition right, but you could vote for them as a single package. So now every now and then the entire left just comes together to form a giant. Well, they call it a. Well, it doesn't really matter, but it's still you go to the voting booth and basically you have two options that matter. So, but they still couldn't turn things around because, well, it's because of a lot of things. But it's interesting because it's in the sense it's also again the same because neither left or the right look like it's a good option. But if you don't have any third option, any viable third option.
Well, you're in a difficult country to talk about because Orban is about as right wing as they get in terms of European leaders.
It's also at one point I was sitting in history class and I was listening to what the teacher said and I just said, okay, we are geographically in the wrong place because we are sort of in Central Europe but at the very eastern end of Central Europe. I guess people like to say we are in Eastern Central Europe because they don't want to say we are in Eastern Europe, but some would argue that we have a lot more common as in terms of culture with the Slavic people. But yeah, so basically you can look at every world war, well, all two of them, that we've always been so basically during the Cold War we were at the very I think we were on, so west of us it's Austria, so that's and we were very western end of the Eastern Bloc, so we are right between Eastern and Western Europe.
But still, what is centrist for Europe is very left-wing for America, or at least that's the way Americans see it.
The problem is that saying if some so centrist should mean the same thing everywhere.
It should, but anyone can. It's like the right wing seems to be able to define what the words are. They have the loudest press. They have the most listened to press. Fox News should not even be allowed to call itself news, but they do, and they're the most watched news on the planet, or at least in America.
So tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but the way, if I wanted to try to understand it in a very simple terms, so basically, right is supposed to mean conservative, and left is supposed to mean liberal, right?
Supposed to.
Okay. So that
right,
much I get.
Right tends to mean fascist, and left tends to mean anarchist. They call it, they conflate socialist with anarchist, but socialism is bad in America, even though it isn't. But the people that are making the people that are controlling the definition say socialism is bad.
Yes, but when one could argue that virtually all real life implementations of socialism in history have been bad, because people tend to not.
When you socialize the entire government, there's always going to be people that take advantage of it. That's why it's never actually going to work, is because there's always going to be people that will see an angle and use it and basically crush everyone else.
But also the citizens, the average people, don't really want to give up their property, which is part of what socialism should be about.
Except that most of the people don't have any property to be worried about conserving. When 2% of the population owns 90% of the property and holds 95% of the money, then whether you own anything, if you're not in that 2%, is a moot point. If socialism would work, which it does in a social democracy such as Northern Europe, that's not socialism, it's social democracy. It's a
which countries? The Nordic countries?
The Nordic countries, yes. For that matter, Switzerland has somewhat of a socialism.
Could you elaborate on that? So what it means in practice?
What it means in practice is that they are modifying socialism to where, hold on, got to recalibrate my brain here. This goes out every now and again. Basically, my viewpoint is that no political system in its pure form is right for everybody. And the best systems are the ones that moderate between the better systems, such as social democracy. Now, democratic socialism is not the same as social democracy. Democratic socialism is basically the same as revolutionary Marxism, only without the revolution. They want to vote in the Marxism. Well, Marxism as a pure thing does not work, but if you moderate capitalism towards socialism, you wind up with what's in most of the Nordic countries and some of the other nations. And it's more or less for the benefit of the people. In France, the government is afraid of the people. In the US, the people are afraid of the government.
Well, looking at France's history, maybe they are right to be afraid of the people.
I have a friend that has another friend who was asked by a Democratic think tank what they think should be done about the great economic inequity in the U.S., and his response was guillotines.
That makes
and they
sense.
said, "Thank you very much. We will not contact you further."
So what you're saying is that it's best to take the source code of socialism and apply patches to it.
Or the source code of capitalism and apply large socialist patches to it. Basically, if you can control how much the CEO is getting as a percentage of how much the lowest person on on the line is making.
Are we live already?
No, not in the U.S. There's no controls.
No, I mean, are we live on YouTube? Because this topic is interesting. So it's another one of those.
Yes, we're having a political discussion on mintCast.
Okay, yeah, it happens sometimes.
Is anyone watching?
This is the off show, so who cares?
Yeah. At any rate, so if you can place controls on how much the capitalists can keep of their capital and have to give the rest back to either the government in taxes or the people in wages and benefits, then you have a social democracy.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of applying patches to capitalism, things like free healthcare, it's a start. It's one of those things that always comes up.
My wife came here from Canada, and while Canada does not have the best healthcare system in the world, it's considerably better than what the U.S. has, and she's constantly freaking out over it. And here is Josh.
Bonjour.
We have a Thacker.
Do we?
Not,
guys.
which
Hey,
is not the
Josh.
same as a Thatcher.
Oh,
It's a derivative of.
good to see
Yeah, I
you.
remember you saying that.
Yeah.
We've been having this lovely political discussion here, and
Uh-oh.
Norbert was wondering if we were live, and yeah, we are.
Hey, did you ever read Jeremy Thatcher Dragon Hatcher?
Is that a real thing?
It is a book.
Oh, no.
I know nothing.
It was actually banned from middle schools when I was a kid
Aha.
because
Never heard of it.
On what grounds?
there was a dragon and it ate a cow.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, the horrific violence.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon ate a burger.
Yeah, it in animals acting like animals
Right.
are, it
Honestly,
happens,
are they going to get rid of White Fang?
Well, it does contain the word white. Just saying.
Well, yeah. Well, the people that are banning books for those reasons are the same people that say that this act and that act is not natural, despite the fact that it's all over the animal
Oh,
kingdom.
no, it pisses me off. They're like, you can't have books that talk about sexuality in school. You can't have books that talk about abortion. You can't have books that talk about rape or any of those things because, well, religion. But then there's the Bible, which has
lots
all
of
of those
and
things.
rape and incest. And,
Abortion,
yeah.
rape, you name it. Incest, it's all there.
Yeah, I can't believe people are actually using the Bible as their authority that abortion is wrong when there are so many abortions and
It's
so many
basically
babies
an
being
instruction
slaughtered.
manual.
All right, we are now the atheist cast.
Yeah. So,
No,
I
we're
think
the
Josh-
anti-organized religion cast.
Yeah,
I think Josh,
I never
you
know
can.
where I fit on that scale. I have certain religious and spiritual beliefs, but they are not inflexible ones. I could as much be a.
Then you don't know shit
religionist
about faith, because if you have faith, then, the Bible's perfect.
You can't have enough faith to make the Bible perfect. There are just too many contradictions. Even what there are various places that a story is repeated 2 or even 3 times, and the numbers are different. So God can't even remember how many people he killed that time?
The Bible is also it also acts as a history book.
Except that Bible history sucks. There is a 16 so far video series by Holy Kool-Aid called Nothing Fails Like Bible History. And it's
Sorry
really
for
worth
shitting on your
watching.
religion.
I am sorry. I am not intending to offend. I do not know whether I am offending, but I am not intending to offend.
We respect Christianity. The only problem we have is people that take the Bible verbatim, despite the fact that it contradicts itself quite a lot.
Don't respect us. Anyhow, we're having a lovely day. What are we talking about on this episode?
This episode, whatever the hell we want. How about Sunday's episode?
Well, that's what I was referring to. This is not a numbered episode. Sundays is.
Do we have any updates on whether Matthew Miller can be on an episode anytime soon?
Not yet. There is a good and valid statement. If you need the threat of eternal punishment to be a good person, you are not a good person.
Yep.
But a lot of the Christians that I talk to don't understand how people can be good and moral people without the Bible.
Then they haven't read the Bible because there aren't very many good and moral people in it. I mean, the guy who lets his daughters get him drunk, and blames it on them that he got both of his daughters pregnant because they got him drunk and it's their fault. And that guy's a patriarch of God. And all these Christians these days that say marriage is between one woman and one man haven't read the Bible. How many wives did Solomon have? Concubines, slave girls, you name it.
Yes, but one could also argue that what matters most for Christianity is the New Testament. So the Old Testament is...
but they're always throwing Old Testament cures at us.
I think there's even... I think I've heard somewhere that there's even something about Jesus saying in the Bible that the New Testament is what you... I mean, the New Testament wasn't written when Jesus was alive, I assume, so...
Jesus said, I came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. In everything he said, it can be shown how it fits in with Jewish law, and it does not negate any drop of it. Christians say that the New Testament throws out the Old Testament because we want it to be a God of love, not that evil, nasty, wicked God in the Old Testament. But then they're always bringing up Old Testament law to say what Christianity believes. In what way the government is based on religion, and it's not. There is an excellent book on the subject of the Ten Commandments absolutely not having anything to do with the Constitution. It's called The Founding Myth, and it's by Andrew Seidel. So I don't know.
There's an argument to be made that the Christian religion had heavy influence to creating our founding documents because your morals lead to you creating laws.
But the morality of the Christian church at that time was in conflict with what the founding fathers wrote.
But your morals, if they stem from Christianity, the Bible, whatever, and then those are then used to create laws.
The entire structure of the government was stolen from the 10 civilized tribes, which is why it does not in any way resemble English common law.
Although English common law was used to refute Roe v. Wade.
It was used in a very bad argument that makes no sense so that they could choose to refute Roe v. Wade, but there is no logical connection between those two parts.
Oh, and then have you seen what they're trying to do in Oklahoma?
Yes.
That's nuts.
The fun thing is the men making these laws don't even understand what they're abolishing, because an ectopic pregnancy, you only have two outcomes: either both the mother and the baby die, or mother and the embryo die or the embryo dies. Those are the only two options. And if you're going to charge the mother with murder for that, when the only option is for her to die,
That's essentially what they want.
that's not health care.
It's not. It's not. I
They
mean,
want to make
from what
more
I
white
understand,
babies. They shouldn't be killing off the white mothers by forcing them to keep the ectopic pregnancy.
from what I understand, the way the laws are phrased, that if a woman were to have the fetus die within her, technically, because they made the pills that the chemical that causes a woman to go into labor and push out a baby to chemically abort a baby would be illegal. So they can't get rid of the baby unless, surgery.
Well, even miscarriages are considered murder in most
Exactly.
state laws. And that's ridiculous. They are, again, abolishing nature.
They're making pregnancy a lot more dangerous for women.
Where are miscarriages considered murder?
Every time.
No, where? Which states or what?
The Midwest.
Most of the South and Midwest have these laws in place that will not take effect until Roe v. Wade is actually thrown out by the Supreme Court. But when they do, they're automatically in place.
Hello, Respawn. We're
Evening.
having interesting conversations here.
Alrighty.
Who is
Was,
Respawn?
what was the name? Who did you mention?
Respawn. You just joined the
No,
chat.
I mean, someone being thrown out from somewhere.
Roe v. Wade. It's the court case that said that the right to privacy included the right to a woman's control of a woman's own health.
The ability to get an abortion.
I don't think I've heard this name before. Is this a recent case or is this
No.
is it an old one?
It's
No,
an
this
old
is
case.
50 years old.
It's been on the books for 50
Roe
years.
versus Wade, which is Roe v. Wade is the main case that said that abortions had to be legal because they were part of a woman having control over her own body.
Well, not just that. The whole argument there is that it's nobody else's business
Yeah.
if a woman goes and gets an abortion. If a woman goes and gets a medical procedure, it's not anybody else's business. And that should be a law.
And the weird thing is the people that are pushing this governmental interference into a woman's health are the same people that are screaming smaller government. They want the government out of our lives.
Yeah, but their reasoning behind getting rid of Roe v. Wade is they're saying that the federal government should not be involved and this should be taken care of on a state-by-state basis. So they're speaking less government as an excuse. Why have a federal government at all then? But
well, why let the state government interfere in our lives if it's the same problem?
why let a state tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body?
Mm-hmm. If you want governmental interference out of the individual's life, it doesn't matter what level of government. It's nobody's business. Hello, Respawn. What can we do for you?
Hello. I'm just listening to the conversation.
Well, we're a bunch of guys talking about a subject we probably have absolutely, zero actual right to be talking about since none of
For
us
one
have
thing,
vaginas.
we're a bunch of guys. Yes, yeah, exactly. Where are you? Where are you,
yeah.
Respawn?
Europe.
Well, so is Norbert. What part of Europe?
Central Europe, Croatia.
I didn't
Cool.
hear that. It broke up.
Croatia.
So the
Croatia.
neighborhood. I'm
Croatia.
from Croatia.
Cool.
So the neighborhood. I'm from Hungary.
Hello, neighbor. Yeah, we had the other day there was something about abortion, walk for life, and that stuff is going on in town.
There would be a lot more to it
There
if
was
it was a
something.
council.
It's going to change the law.
If it was about life,
Yeah. Then nothing happened.
If it was about life, then here in America at least, we'd be doing more to take care of kids after they're born.
If there was a council of women making this decision, it would have a little bit more credibility. But it's all old men, all old white men.
No, not on the Supreme Court.
Well, that's true, but in the legislatures and whatnot, the senator from Louisiana yesterday said that we don't really have a problem with the death of mothers at birth unless you count the blacks. You know, if you cut black women out of the equation, we don't have any problem with our mothers dying in childbirth. Well, if you cut
sometimes
emus, ostriches, and chickens out of the problem, we don't have any problem with birds flying. Yeah. Penguins.
Sometimes you drop some heavy quotes here.
Yes, we are a Linux
Yeah.
podcast, but we talk about whatever comes up.
On Saturdays, we talk about whatever we feel like. And
Yeah.
that's a
Classics.
hot button topic right now. That and CRT.
Yeah, it's the hot topic everywhere.
Wait, I assume it's not cathode ray tube.
It's
No,
not
it's
cathode ray
critical race
tube.
theory.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I wish it was
you
cathode
mentioned
ray
that.
tube. That's at least an interesting
Okay.
topic.
The problem is not only that we're talking about critical race theory, but that we're talking about critical race theory being taught in lower grades of school,
Grade
which it
school,
is
middle
not.
school, high school. Most of these people, you ask them what critical race theory is, and it's, making white people feel bad. That's all they'll say about it.
Critical race theory is only taught on the upper levels of academia. But we are passing laws right and left, making sure we don't teach any of that in the schools.
And it's taught as a theory, not as a statement of fact.
It's probably not the same. It's probably not using the same way. But for example, in natural sciences, they call something a theory if there's evidence backing it up. So for example, there's the theory of gravity because.
I understand what you're saying, but they're not saying that it's a statement of fact that black people are being made to stay poor by the laws that are created. They're saying that it is possible that laws created between when the Jim Crow laws were tossed out and modern day and before could have an impact on the social standing of people of color more than on white people.
Can you give an example of a law that has been passed that impacts people of different color differently?
Let's talk about Linux.
Getting into specific laws is a lot more difficult for me because I don't know a lot of the laws. But I will say that most people would agree that the system that we have, capitalism and the laws that are there, are designed to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. Any argument with that?
No.
And the main way they do that is by having the poor white workers think they're better than the poor black and other people of color workers.
That's a separate subject. But if that's the case, if we do have a system designed to keep the rich rich and the poor poor, and we admit that there was a lot of racism from the time of the Jim Crow laws, which obviously there was, or there wouldn't have been Jim Crow laws in the first place, then the people that were poor at the time, specifically people of color, would be kept poor. Barring certain circumstances, breakaway cases, whatever, but those are all outliers. So our system is, if it is designed to keep the rich rich and the poor poor, would have a more systemic effect on people of color than it would white people.
Okay, so you're saying it's not that certain laws affect different people of different ethnicities differently. It just gives more room for the economy to have that effect. So it's indirectly.
Well, every one of the last 8 mass killers in the U.S., all of which were white, were captured safely without any injury. On the other hand, there are black people who aren't even armed getting pulled over for one thing or another and wind up being shot dead by the same police.
No, you have to change your statistics a little bit because one of the most recent killers was, I believe, a Chinese man that went and shot up a Taiwanese location.
Yes, that's true.
So, statistically speaking, you're right, but not completely because he was taken alive.
Yeah. Well, still, people of color in America most often refers to Hispanics and blacks rather than Chinese.
Makes sense because how many Chinese people are in America compared to
There are
black
quite
people?
a few. I could look those stats up actually.
But there have been certain times in history where various groups were not considered to be white, like the Irish, the Italians, I think Germans for a while. But, I mean, come on. I'm Irish. I'm white.
Okay.
It doesn't go away.
Whites alone, 76.3%. Black or African American alone, 13.4%. American Indian or Alaska Native alone, 1.3%. Asian alone, 5.9%. Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islanders, 0.2%. Two or more races combined to 2.8%. Hispanic or Latino, 18.5%. White alone, who are not Hispanic or Latino, are 60.1%.
I'm really
what was-
surprised that there's not more mixed.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Like a lot more mixed. There probably is a lot more mixed, but they don't claim it. They just consider
Yeah.
themselves white
Yeah.
because they look white.
Well, I know my first wife and the mother of my 2 children was black, and my children are considered black. But they may show up in this as 2 or more races. I don't know.
But is it based on what they claim themselves to be, like in a census?
It
Yeah.
really is.
What they fill out on the paperwork.
Hey, Norbert, did you see that link to Hushboard by Stuart Langridge?
Yeah, I've seen Leo first at me on the Telegram. I will try to give that I will give it a try, maybe.
I
But I
tried
could-
to install it, and it says installation complete, but it also gave a warning: not exporting file org.cryogenics.hushboard.appdata.xml of unsupported type.
Maybe it would be just easier to be more aware of when I mute and when I should mute myself manually.
Well, I know I'm not pointing at you because I'm a culprit on that too. I don't know.
All right, since it doesn't look like we're going to have an interview next show, what do we think?
We should talk about Linux.
Critical race theory?
Yeah.
All right, that's the next topic. Book bannings in grade schools, middle schools, and high schools.
Mm-hmm.
Linux.
Let's do a review of Jeremy Thatcher
Linux.
Dragon Hatcher.
Linux.
Let's do a review of the book Reality Plus.
You could do that in the
Joe, with you and I, we could easily do a Dresden Files review.
I was completely disappointed with the 2 new books, so I'm waiting for you
we
to
haven't
catch
read
up.
them yet.
I'm waiting for you to
Wait.
catch up.
I don't
was
know that
about-
we've got them yet, but
I was about to say the topic should be Linux, but then I remember there was not too long ago a review of
Kevin Mitnick.
Kevin Mitnick's book. What's it called?
It wasn't Ghost in the Wires that we did. It was his other. It's in the folder still.
I think it was The Art of Invisibility.
Art of Invisibility.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
But
So there's the
reality.
episode-
Reality Plus is actually a philosophy book about whether or not we live in a simulation.
Mhm.
It's computer related.
Yeah. It's also marginally.
Yeah.
It's also somewhat related to the TV show I was recommending, Devs.
I downloaded that. I am going to give it a watch.
Okay, I highly recommend it.
I just have to find time.
Lenovo versus Dell versus HP.
Oh, we could do a non-Linux related hardware themed episode. We could do a laptop. I just got a new laptop, so it would be
Me too.
What did you get, Norbert?
it's a Lenovo. It's a Flex 5 because I just got spoiled by touchscreen. I wanted to have another touchscreen laptop. So I basically hopped forward 6 years in terms of Lenovo's ability to make a foldable, like a two-in-one laptop that doesn't disintegrate within a couple of years. I assume because my previous Lenovo it had a plastic chassis, and it's currently being held together by super glue. And this one has a metal chassis, so I'm really and it's the same size screen, 14 inches, but it has a much narrower bezel, so it's much smaller and it's lighter, and I really like it. The screen is
Yeah.
also the colors are also way better. The only thing,
Yeah, I have been very disappointed by my T460p because the case on it is very cheap plastic and it keeps breaking. My T5's that was a 540p. My T560 is combination fiberglass and carbon.
I think
And
this is
if
this is my fifth laptop ever, and the last three of those have been Lenovo's. It wasn't at first it wasn't a conscious choice, so it's not brand loyalty, but when I wanted to get another touchscreen laptop, it just made sense because last year I had a chance to see one of these in person, the Lenovo Flex, and I really liked how it looked. So I remember to and when I mean a few weeks ago it was kind of an impulse purchase because I wasn't really considering getting a new laptop, but then there was a week where I had to go to university 4 days out of 5, and I ended up re-gluing my laptop together each night before. So I was like, okay, if I want to have a laptop because I want it to be portable, it kind of defeats the purpose if I have to like maintain it because
yeah.
yeah, I mean when I got it secondhand, and there at the time when I was looking at it before I bought it, I didn't really catch that, but there are some traces of super glue already being used on it before I got it. So it was I assume it was already disintegrating. Yeah, and I mean super glue works as long as I don't open it too hard. It sticks together. At one point, I think I glued it together. It stayed like that maybe for 3 to 4 months, but I was only using it at home.
Well, right now the only product I am using that is not Lenovo is my Pixel phone, and I used to have Moto phones, which are now Lenovo.
Interesting. I was about to say I never had a ThinkPad, but I think so. My first laptop was an IBM with Windows 98, and I think it might have been a ThinkPad because I think it had the red trackball, so it is probably a ThinkPad.
That's a ThinkPad.
So I had
I
a
need
ThinkPad.
more parts.
Okay.
It's called a touch point.
I need more parts.
Then-
Send me
then my
laptops.
Yeah.
The second laptop was an MSI laptop, and then after
Nice.
that, 3 Lenovo's.
No, the last person that sent me a laptop, a turntable showed up instead.
Well, I've got a T430 for sale, Joe.
I didn't say sale. I'm broke right now.
It works. It's not broke.
Nice.
No, I'm broke right now.
Oh, you're broke.
I still gotta pay to get pipes fixed.
We did a episode on the phones we had last year, so maybe we could do has there been an episode of like the computers that we had before we joined?
Yeah,
we
we do that every couple of years where we'll talk about our whole setup. Oh, were you trying to say something, Respawn? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No.
No, I mean like just
The first laptop I had was some Lenovo 2, some 300 and 200 something. It was pretty good. Hold on for years before the hard drive died.
I don't even remember the first laptop I had.
Well, I probably do, because I stayed away from laptops for the longest time, because until very recently, the cost of miniaturization was much higher than the cost of full-size components in a desktop.
True. Now it's almost cheaper to get a laptop, especially if you want graphics.
I think my first laptop was probably an Asus E PC 701.
Oh, those with like 1 or 2 gigabytes of, so the ones with the outrageously small hard
They
flash
were
drives.
Chromebooks before there were Chromebooks.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think there were some that had
exactly.
like
Atoms with 1 or 2 gigs of RAM or something.
Right.
Mm,
And they were the original ones were running Asus's own variant of
Ubuntu.
no, they weren't running Ubuntu until their third or fourth version. Their second version was they modified Xandros, but their first version they modified. Come on,
Describe it.
Now, I did have one of the Acer Aspire 1s.
Savaillon is based on it. Gentoo.
Gentoo. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Gentoo is easy to get to a very
Gentoo.
small size. Chrome OS is also based on Gentoo.
Well, the original EPC was running their own variant of Gentoo, and then their next versions were running a variant of Xandros. And then after that, they started using Ubuntu.
And they looked it up
Although
and they
after
had,
that, they started having everyone demanding Windows on it, and tried running Windows on a Atom PC with only 1 or 2 gigs of RAM.
and 1 or 2 gigs of
Good
storage.
luck with that one.
Yeah. I think it had like 2 gigs of storage, the first EPC, and you wouldn't even be able to fit Windows XP on that.
Well, the last EPC I had was a 1215. So it was actually a 12-inch screen. But from there on, I went back to desktops, and then I got Lenovo ThinkPad X130E. I bought 2 of those. And actually, I bought 3 of them and sold one. Sent one to my wife while she was still in Canada, and that was a big story because they charged her over $100 to receive a laptop that I was just loaning her, and 2 weeks later she was back down here with it. And they still charge her over $100 GST for shipping a laptop to her.
What's interesting is I don't really follow the hardware market. Only every now and then when I have to buy something, do I like do a little research and try to catch up. So most of the laptop the numbers you're saying it doesn't really make sense to me.
X130E was a almost a Chromebook, but a little bit better, and it was made tougher so you could give it to your kids to use at school.
I just realized that I was thinking maybe I could turn my laptop that is held together by a super glue into like a home server.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about doing that anyway, and
good idea.
I wouldn't have to buy a Pi or something like that if I already had one.
Take the screen off of it and use it as a server / set-top box.
Yeah, but it's the screen. It usually works, which means that sometimes when the computer wakes up, it just doesn't work, and I have to put it to suspend it again and wake it up again. But it's good to have a screen. But the good thing is that I can just fold the screen underneath the body of the laptop because it folds 360 degrees. So I don't really have to take off the screen.
As far as the diversity of mintCast, there was a time, once upon a time, that we had a female co-host.
Was there?
We almost had a black co-host. He's still in the group.
He came on once.
He did come on once. And then for the longest period of time, we had Leo as our Hispanic co-host.
Even main host. I was about to mention a couple of times how it would be nice to have a lady co-host on mintCast.
Well, we did once upon a time early on. You can look in the spreadsheet and see when we had her. Welcome back, Josh.
Thank you. Accidentally closed.
Welcome back, Josh.
But no, we haven't not done a very good job at attracting diversity other than Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Although we did have the last 2 episodes had George on.
He also has Hispanic roots, right?
Yeah, well, his name is Jorge.
Yeah.
Yeah. He grew up in Michigan, but he's definitely Hispanic. Jorge Castro, you better believe. Talk about his cousin Fidel.
Ouch. Harsh.
Yeah.
Well, it gets me. Ted Cruz runs as a white guy, and his father was emigre from Cuba. Technically, he should not be able to run or be installed as president because he does not fit the native-born. He was born in Canada. His mother was an American citizen, but his father was a Cuban citizen.
That technically makes him an American.
I believe she had taken Canadian citizenship at that time, but at a time when we did not allow dual citizenship. So technically, he is not an American. Or at least not a native-born American. The various rules I've seen on that sort of leave Ted Cruz out. They almost left.
Wait, you were talking about Ted Cruz? For some reason, I heard Tom Cruise,
Ted
No,
Cruz,
not
no,
Ted
he's an
Cruz. Okay.
asshole.
but he was still a candidate. So somehow he.
Well, Tom Cruise was never a candidate.
No, I mean Ted Cruz.
No, he was never a presidential candidate. He's always been an
Yeah,
asshole.
Well, he did run in 2016. He was in the primary for
Was he?
Republicans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's still an
It's the
asshole.
first time. This is the first
Yes,
time I
he's
heard
still
his
in.
name. Although to be fair, I think I probably first time I ever heard Donald Trump's name was also in 2016 because somehow I managed to live my life without ever coming across him.
And don't you feel blessed by that?
Maybe.
I mean,
I just
hearing about
did.
Trump was
no.
always a joke. I mean,
I just
John
didn't
Oliver
know.
said that Trump should run just to make a joke out of the Republican primary, and he has regretted saying that ever since.
Yeah, I've heard some people say that probably Trump himself didn't believe he would actually get far.
He couldn't. He doesn't have a solid view on anything. He's changed his mind on so many things so many times.
The reason Trump won the first time isn't because anybody thought he would do a good job. It's because everybody was certain that Hillary was going to start World War III and get us all killed.
What I looked at the numbers.
Well, not everybody, but significant number of Republicans.
Probably the first time I ever followed the U.S. election was 2016, and when it was done, I looked at the numbers, and the number of Republican voters was roughly the same as 4 years before that, and 4 years before that, and 4 years before that, but the number of people who voted Democrat were far less than in the previous elections.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who is not at home in American politics, I had the impression that Trump won because the Republican voters went to vote as usual, but a lot of Democratic voters stayed at home.
Well, yeah, and then that changed when it came for re-election.
Well, we've never had more than 35 or 38% of the electorate actually show up for a presidential election. And in fact, the entire view of the Republican Party is the fewer people show up to vote, the more chance the Republicans have of winning. And that's why they are doing all these voter suppression moves. The voters, if you keep black people from voting, well, that's half the Democratic base right there.
Somehow we ended up talking about politics again.
Politics again.
Yeah. What was I about to say?
You can't avoid it.
The laptops we run.
So maybe if it hasn't been done in a while, maybe we could go with that.
Or the hardware that we have. I mean,
All
do
the
you want me
hardware?
to get my stack of laptops out? I will get my stack of laptops out.
Oh man.
I'll have to start collecting them. I
Mountain
gotta
of
start open
laptops.
boxes and shit. It's gonna get ugly. I know that there's at least
We should get
4.
Popey on to talk about his ThinkPads.
Get Popey on to talk about his ThinkPads, and get Alan on to talk about his GPDs.
Wait,
We have a comment from Eris. Voting should be mandatory. Registration should be free.
Registering is free, but yes, voting should be mandatory.
IDs should be free, he said.
Well, IDs
Wait.
should be free, yeah.
Joe, you said Poppy and Alan. Are those two different people? Because I know Poppy's name is Alan Pope.
Yeah, they're actually...
He meant Alan Jude.
Yes.
Alan who?
Alan
talking about-
Jude. Alan Jude is the guy on BSD now. He used to be on a lot of the Jupiter shows, but now he's got BSD now separate from Jupiter.
And like GPD sends him laptops for him to write Ubuntu for, like all the drivers for Ubuntu to get it working on there. Send me free laptops,
Yeah, good stuff.
right? Especially GPDs.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I still use the 5-year-old Dell.
Yeah, well, the newest machines in my house are 2016s, so that's 6 years old. We've got 2 Think Centers, we've got a 560 ThinkPad, and we've got a System 76 Kudu 3, all 2016 models.
That looks like whiskey, and Norbert's just all... Woo.
I think you know me better by now. It
No,
was cold
I'm gonna
brew.
pretend it's
Exactly.
whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pretend it's whiskey.
Yeah, okay. Can I
I can go get some whiskey and join in. Yeah.
Can I ruin your fantasy? It was cold brew black tea.
Cold
Oh,
brew
you
black
weren't even
black
drinking
tea
McCabe?
with
Cold brew, cold
whiskey?
brew.
Long Island iced tea, you say?
If it makes you feel better, you can imagine that. No,
I do that.
I ran out of green tea to cold brew, so I used up my white tea. And when I ran out of white tea, I decided to try. Maybe I could try black tea. I know black tea needs the hottest water temperature of all, but maybe it could work with cold brew, and it worked. Maybe I'm overdoing it. I think I also drank some water today. A good thing about cold brewing tea is that it doesn't get as strong as regular tea, so you can drink more, and I somehow sort of replaced some of the water I drink with this, and I'm not a coffee person. And I
You
also
should
don't
be a
drink.
coffee person. Coffee's good for you.
Yeah, I could argue that tea is also good for you, especially green tea.
But they're not
My
mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I know, but my parents used to have a coffee machine that I really liked that, the coffee that came out of that. And when it broke and they got a different coffee machine, I remember they didn't change the beans they were using, but somehow the coffee tasted different. And that was sort of the time when I had a fallout with coffee, and before that I drank it sometimes. So I do know what I mean, freshly ground coffee, fairly good brands, I think. They used to buy both, so at one point I did drink coffee. I'm just not very big on caffeine. Sometimes I can just go a week without drinking any caffeine and I don't really feel the effects. I just drink the tea because I like the taste.
I can't function without my morning coffee.
Yeah. Oh, but I don't get enough sleep. I do need caffeine in the morning, but I don't. Oh, gunpowder tea. You could Did you say you already tried cold brewing that, or
Yes. Well, this being gunpowder, it does a little bit better with a
okay?
cold brew than it does with a warm brew. But I'm impatient,
Mm.
so
The coffee shop that I go to recently had a new green tea, which is called Chesang, which just means green tea in Vietnamese, and somehow that steeps so fast in cold water that uh, I take roughly 1 gram per
look,
one.
I don't know how you brew cold tea so fast. I mean,
No,
seriously,
I mean,
because even
so
sun tea, which is mildly warmed, should still take 6 to 8 hours to properly brew.
what's interesting, the black tea I was drinking, I had it brewing for 4 hours, but I'm not sure if you're well. Takes around 4 hours. The white tea that I tried, I know that it takes like more than 4, maybe 6 hours, and even green tea takes at least 4 hours. But this specific Vietnamese green tea that my local tea shop acquired recently, it's crazy because I can put it in the fridge in cold water, and then 30 minutes later or 1 hour later, it's
See,
perfectly done.
that's insane to me. It
Yeah,
should take
yeah.
as far because when I'm talking about a sun tea taking 6 to 8 hours, that's on a
What's
light brew.
what's what what's sun tea?
Basically, it's really cheap American.
You put tea bags and
Yeah.
water in a jug out on the porch and let the sun steep
Okay.
it.
Really cheap American tea. Yeah.
Well,
And sugar. I forgot the sugar.
I think light generally doesn't l- just being exposed to light isn't good for tea in general.
Josh,
At least for
Oh,
the
boy.
leaves. Maybe the
Blackberry. That looks like it might make the liver quiver.
it's very
so
tasty.
mintCast Roundtable BYOD
That one is for
edition.
the liver quake.
It's a full 40%.
Okay.
Unlike Firebird.
All right. I brought out the stuff for Norbert, so now I'm bringing out the stuff for the rest of y'all.
Screwball.
Oh man.
I looked at that. The problem with Screwball and the other peanut butter flavor stuff I found is it's like 11 grams of sugar per serving.
It is. But you know what alcohol is? Sugar.
It's sugar, alcohol. It does not get absorbed as sugar. And the bird dog is only 5 grams of added sugar.
I would have a drink with y'all, but I'm still lifting heavy things, and I prefer not to die.
I'm pretty sure that all sugars are just technically alcohols because to be an
And
alcohol,
why do
it
they
just-
sell so many flavors, so many brands of chewing gum that are full of sugar alcohols and call them sugar-free?
Because they're sweeter, so that they can use less of them. They're still having the same caloric impact.
No, they're not. You look it up. Sorbitol, mannitol, xylitol all have 0 grams of carbohydrate.
Per serving. The serving size is smaller because they have a higher concentration of sweetness, so you use less of it.
yeah,
At
it's the
any
same
rate,
as with
Firebird has 11 grams of sugar per shot, and the bird dog only has 5
That's still a lot. How much is a shot? Is it?
ounce.
Yeah, that's like 4 times more sugar than in like soft drinks.
No.
I would pull out one of
I don't
mine,
know.
but all of mine are 0 sugar because they're full of sugar alcohols.
A bottle of cola has like 50 grams because it's
Well, I also know that I am allergic to most sugars.
But,
And,
okay, now your average soda has 50 grams of sugar per serving, but that's not a 1 ounce serving.
True.
no. I always look at the so a deciliter is 0.1 liter, and they always give the amounts per deciliter over here in the bottle, and I think for the entire bottle. So there's information, and it always says like 10 grams per deciliter, and it's 0.5 liters, so multiply that with 5, and you get like 50.
I would love to see all of our labels have like a calories per gram. but they wouldn't
Hold
mean
on,
anything to most
let
people.
me see if I can find the bottle.
Or calories per 100 grams, but that wouldn't matter to most people anyway. But who read the label?
Hey Joe, just because I saw you drinking Dr. Pepper earlier, have you ever mixed Screwball with Dr. Pepper?
Yes.
And they have so many special flavors of Dr. Pepper now that's not
But
even valid.
I've
I only
switched.
asked.
I've switched to drinking my whiskey straight instead of mixing it with stuff, since all the stuff I have is the zero sugar stuff, and you're not really supposed to mix alcohol with diet soda, because the sugar alcohols that are in the soda are supposed, I don't know if it's actually true or not, are supposed to carry the alcohol through your bloodstream quicker, meaning you get more inebriated more quickly. Supposedly.
I see. I just
That
had a
sounds like
coworker
chewing on
bring
to
that
me,
up.
Joe.
Hey, you know what? I haven't actually done my research there. That's all anecdotal shit for me. So
Do your research.
I can't research everything all the time, damn it.
Yeah,
I do a lot of
coworker was
research.
just
Right.
telling me that Dr. Pepper and Screwball was quite a mixture, so I just wasn't sure if you'd tried it.
Pepsi, incidentally, was invented in North Carolina.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's two columns. Not sure if it's visible. The first column is
No.
100 milliliters, and the second column is 250 milliliters, which is about
I can see it.
So this is this one. It's about it says under it that it's equivalent. It's a the average serving. So even the one serving is like labeled for 250 milliliters.
Yeah.
And
Now-
then we always have the values for per 100 milliliters.
Now, what a lot of companies I've noticed recently have started doing, and I really appreciate it, is they will give the calories per serving, and then they will give the calories per container, and that's
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you get a
well-
bag of
well, what the-
chips, are you really stopping at one serving?
Most people I know that eat ramen eat 2 bags of ramen at a time, and the calories and fat and everything listed on the label is for half a bag.
Yeah, and with ramen, it's not really the calories that are the problem; it's the sodium.
True.
More specifically, the
But if
flavor.
you leave the flavor packet out, you don't get the sodium.
Well, you don't get all the sodium, but there's still a lot of salt in noodles.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I really liked is that, for example, drinks always have the first column is I think always the values for 100 milliliters, which is nice because I can take a look and I know that if you take so if you take a liter of water, of distilled water at 4 degrees Celsius, that is roughly 1 kilogram. So if I see 100 milliliters, that's around 1/10 of a kilogram, and it says 11 grams.
You
Okay,
know, they don't put any of that on
yeah.
whiskey.
Start with that. So
Yeah, you got to look it
if-
up online.
Yeah, so you brought up chips. I think it's the same with chips because you have per serving, but you have also something like per 100 grams. And if you look at per 100 grams and it says carbohydrates like around 50 grams, that's good. That's a good estimate because if you see 50 grams of carbohydrates per 100 grams, you can just divide them and say, oh, it's 50%. The
Well,
50% of the entire content is carbohydrates.
now, like I personally would appreciate something that said calories per 100 grams or all the macronutrients per 100 grams, but that's because I tend to weigh out everything that I eat and I'm very careful about what I eat. Most people are just gonna frickin' ignore that. They don't know how many calories they're taking in a day. It does not matter to them.
But calories is also just one side of the coin because
Well, yes.
you calories are not so yeah. So on this bottle it says it has 11 grams of carbohydrates, and out of that it's 11 grams of sugar. So basically all the carbohydrates in it is sugar.
It's because it's sugar water with some
Yeah.
food coloring.
Yeah.
Incidentally, when we were discussing diversity earlier, we didn't even mention Nishant.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have one co-host that shows up sometimes who is actually in Bengal, India.
Oh.
Okay, so it also has the calories on it for 100 milliliters and for 2050, which is like one serving.
Yeah, but now you did say that calories were just one side of the equation, and I'm not going to argue
Yeah.
with that because really they are in one sense, but when it comes to like weight gain and weight loss,
Yeah.
you can use just calories for that. Now, that being said, I do make sure that most of my meals, well, all of my meals have more protein than it does carbs or fats, but that's about it. And I do make sure I get some fats because going zero fat is bad.
Yeah.
I know. I made that
I-
mistake once.
Yeah, you
Some-
need it.
At some point, I read of something about how people have this idea of fats being bad for you, when in reality, sugar is worse. But the companies that sell stuff with a lot of sugar in it made sure that people think that fats are worse.
I'll be willing to argue that point with you too. Sugars can be worse, but it's all things in moderation. You do need some
Yeah.
carbs,
Yeah,
so you
you know.
do need some complex sugars. Now, a lot of simple sugars are going to be bad. A lot of complex sugars, if you have a lot of them, are going to be bad.
Mm.
But if you have a lot of fats, that's also going to be bad.
And
But-
it also depends on what types of fats.
Yes. Also,
And
what types
the
of fats?
science changes which ones are good, which ones
Yeah.
are bad.
I
So
think, for example,
Exactly.
science currently says that eating some white bread and some amount of whole grain bread is actually better for you than if you just ate whole grain bread, because you need the white bread. You do need some white bread as well.
well, I can't eat whole grain bread because my kidneys are already shot, and there's too much potassium and phosphorus in whole grain bread. My kidneys shut down when I try and eat all whole grain bread, whole grain anything, not just bread.
Well, there are some people that say that a high protein diet is bad for you, and that just seems silly to me.
Well, you can have too much of anything. Can you have too much of protein?
Yeah,
Well,
yes, you
dude,
can.
if you were to take in 5,000 calories of just protein a day, eventually it would kill you. But
Well, if I went on an Atkins
Yeah.
diet, which is all protein and fat, or if I went on a keto diet, in both cases, my kidneys would shut down. Of course, normally we're talking about what it does to a healthy person, and I am a healthy person. I do my best. I'd like to be a healthy person. But the
oh,
doctor-
everybody wants to be a healthy person. Life's a bitch.
Yeah.
You get old, shit starts falling apart.
I think I said previously that a few years ago I had a period where I would just cut down on carbohydrates drastically. I didn't, so I tend to not get as much exercise as I should. I guess I'm just one of those people who don't really like getting exercise, and just cutting down on carbohydrates was enough to start just steadily losing weight. Well, that was also around the time when I started to drink a lot more green tea, which I guess also helped. But
the
losing weight
research
isn't.
is out on that. But,
Losing weight is mostly just about your diet, and I guess the green tea just helped with that. Then there came the pandemic, and I gained weight, so now I have to lose weight again.
Do you though? Do you have to lose weight, or do you just have to change your ratio of fat to muscle?
I think
need
I
to
do.
lose weight.
I do have to lose weight because I weigh way more than I should for my height.
How tall are you?
I'm not very tall. I keep forgetting, around 100 and maybe 168.
Centimeters?
Yeah. Oh, of course. I have no idea what's that in feet.
Working on it.
well, if
You're
were
5.5
160
feet tall.
5'6".
How much do you weigh?
Well, again, I have no idea about
That's what the internet's for.
pounds. Right now, I'm just got above 100 kilos again, so which is not. It's a lot.
No, it's not.
Is it?
No,
Is
it's
it?
not.
Yeah, I basically.
You're 100 kilos?
No.
Yeah,
You are
I
not
probably
100
don't-
kilos.
I am. I just weighed myself 2 days ago.
Well,
It was 102.
You're telling me that you're 5'5" and 220 pounds, and you have a chin.
Wait. Did I say 68? I keep forgetting. I hate. Somehow I can never
Dude,
properly.
no, you said you're 220 pounds. You're not 6'3", so you're not 220 pounds.
Yeah, Joe, you kept trying to tell me I'm not 280.
Well, but I said I'm around 100 kilos, and I am because I weighed myself 2 days ago. But it's silly, but I can never properly remember my height because I don't really care about it that much. Maybe the 68. Maybe did I say 68?
You said 168 centimeters.
No, I'm not very sure.
Yeah, 100 kilograms is 220 pounds.
Yeah.
But
I wish I was
you're
220 pounds.
5'6". Let's say you are 220 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, that's not that terrible.
Yeah, but the worst I was I think was 116 kilograms, and then I managed to lose around 25, and I was around 92 kilograms. But now since the pandemic started, I gained another 10, so it's 102. And I didn't even realize that I went above 100 until since a few days ago. So I'm not saying that it had to do with it, but around the same time when the pandemic started, I just stopped really drinking green tea and I started drinking black tea with milk. I'd like to think that green tea helped because I drank a lot of it. At times I even had to stop because I started getting reflux because tea is acidic.
You should just start lifting weights.
Yeah.
Become massively muscular. Just like Moss. That's what Moss should do.
I can't lift the weights.
No, you can't lift big weights. You don't have to start out with big weights. Start out with little weights.
That's how you put the moss into muscle. That was terrible.
Yes, it was.
That was terrible.
But
Yeah.
Now with my shoulders, well, my right shoulder has both arthritis, bone spur, and rotator cuff injury.
I have tendonitis. I have arthritis. I have lower back pain due to sciatica, and I have a leg that's longer than the other. I have torn tendons in my ankle. I have a foot that was shattered and didn't heal correctly. A hand that was shattered and didn't heal correctly.
Better man than I am, and a younger one besides. I admit that you're a better man than I am.
I had gravel dug out of the back of my skull, okay? I have migraines like you would not believe, but I still...
Yeah, all the head injuries I've had, it's amazing I never get headaches.
Right.
I've had I had one that actually cracked my skull from here to here.
No,
it didn't crush it; it just cracked it.
I didn't have a crack, but I definitely have. I have scar tissue here from a light fixture. I have scar tissue on the back of my head from the gravel. I took a rock to the face. I don't know if that scar is even still visible. Probably not.
Then I got lumbago and rheumatism and.
What exactly is lumbago?
Who knows? Something old people have.
I had a torn rotator cuff and 2 loose spots in the back. I had overdeveloped lower abdominal muscles.
So what you're saying is that you are Frankenstein's monster.
Lumbago is low back pain.
Oh, okay.
I just looked it up.
Gents, my time has come, so I'll see you.
All right, Josh.
Frankenstein actually got put back together.
Yeah, Josh.
See you.
Frankenstein's monster got put back together.
Okay.
Okay, I will make that correction for you.
Okay.
Yes. Although one could argue that Frankenstein himself was the monster.
Yeah, you could.
I should have read it. I never read the book. I should have read it. I think we were supposed to read it for school, but I didn't.
It was written at a different time. It's really hard to get through.
Yeah, but
Hey, Joe,
I've heard
you
that it
need
was
to
the
read Monster from Führer.
it was what pioneered science fiction as a genre, and I just want to experience it in that perspective.
There's actually a series of Frankenstein books that were much more modernized. I think it was called I, Frankenstein was the first book. And that series starts out decent. It goes downhill rather quickly in the later books.
When you said modernized, was it rewritten or was it?
Not really rewritten. It was reimagined.
So it wasn't written by Mary Shelley.
No.
Okay.
No.
I sent you a book. So
that's now I want you to mention that there's an audio series from Big Finish called I Davros, and I'm pretty sure it's a reference to that because it sounds very.
Okay, maybe.
Because I Frankenstein just sounds very. But how should I put it?
Derivative?
Not derivative. It sounds like one of the things that become like titles that people recognize and keep referencing. Because the shorter the title is.
Because there was an I, Frankenstein movie. Let me see if I can find the book. I think it was based on a book.
Do we have a topic yet?
Well, I had the suggestion of like going through the laptops we had throughout the years.
I think that'd get boring really fast.
Except for us.
Yeah, well, we're not doing the show for us.
Oh, speak for yourself.
I will, and I did.
There have been new releases of Ubuntu and their derivatives and Fedora.
Well, I know our next Distro Hoppers Digest is supposed to be covering as many Ubuntu flavors as we can. And
I guess
we're going to be recording some of them off mic so that we can just patch them in later instead of have a really long show and hurt Tony Hughes.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I guess, what every show is covering. So if we were to do that, we were doing the same thing as everyone else.
This is my small coffee cup, by the way. You've seen my big one before. This is my small one. The problem with these, they make them so they fit inside a car cup holder, but they aren't very stable sitting on a desk. So I get a roll of duct tape and use that as a cup holder.
I have a cup that is the size of 2 cups.
That looks like it would tip over easily.
Well, if it's almost, you can fit almost as much into it as like the average. I have no idea. Is it like a 16-ounce bottle? It holds almost as much.
Well, this is a 32-ounce cup, and that's my small one.
So that's almost a liter.
Okay, the series I was thinking of was written by Dean Koontz.
Boy, it's been a while since I read any of his stuff.
Yeah. I think I have a book, Guardians or Watchers, with that yellow lab and monster from Kunz.
Well, Bill is off at the theater watching a movie with his wife, or he'd be here.
Since I already have the Pepsi here, I might as well just drink some of it.
With your whiskey?
Rob Hawkins halfway threatened to come in himself, but he begged out.
He did say that he might join in an episode in the near future, I think.
I think I'm about to check out here.
Yeah, it's getting later.
Be nice to know what we're doing in the show, though.
It would be nice to have a topic.
Okay, then no one leaves until we have a topic.
We could do a show on how we pick our topics.
I don't think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be very uninteresting topic.
We could just edit this one and then call it "How Not to Pick a Topic." Also, some politics and history.
Well, we talked politics, we talked diets and calories, we talked fats, and we talked diversity, and we've had a pretty well-rounded show here. However, it doesn't quite qualify as mintCast yet.
Yeah.
So what's new in Mint? Do we have anything in the newsletter?
Let me check.
We did wait. There's a newsletter at the beginning of each month, right? So, did we read the? Did we cover the May newsletter?
I don't remember it. That doesn't mean we didn't do it. I was just having a chat with Eric the Unready about Zebian, Xebian, and I didn't remember talking to him about it. And then I looked in my download directory, and there I had a copy, so I must have brought it up to him.
What's Debian?
It's apparently a derivative of Debian. I don't know anything. I just he tried to install it and couldn't get it installed.
Did you say that the generation of PCs were running some sort of were running Debian? I think so. You said the first generation had the Gen 2 derivative.
The second was Xandros.
Oh, Xandros. Okay, so something that starts with X is that makes those up.
Let me see. Zebian. Based on Debian unstable /SID, uses XFCE. Modified default configuration. New Mix GTK Plus theme by default, and other Shimmer project themes are pre-installed. And it's on the Libera IRC network. I still don't know anything. They have 32 and 64-bit. Let me see if there's anything on DistroWatch about it.
I think at one
They
point
do not have it in their database, but they do have the website linked. So they know nothing at DistroWatch.
I think DistroWatch also has a section of applications that haven't been added to the database yet, but have applied for being included.
Yeah, they have the link to the website on DistroWatch, but that's all they have. LinuxQuestions.org has a Xebian. A modified Debian installation with both a live CD and installer is not as easy to use as most Linux distributions, but provides an installation package for Xbox-specific hardware and file systems. That's interesting. I don't know. Anyhow, I think I'm about worn out here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if you find a topic.
Maybe I should take a look at the list of ideas that I had for topics again. But most of those, there was like crypto, which I'm not really. I can't say anything about crypto, and the behind the scenes how mintCast is made.
The main thing in the latest Mint blog was about their new upgrade tool. And we did discuss that.
Okay, wait. So I think someone.
Yeah, upgrade from LMDE 4 to 5.
Yeah.
And it's going to be usable from LMD 20.3 to 21.
I mean Mint.
Yes.
So I think Mint 21 probably will come out in June. So the June newsletter will be the interesting one.
And in March, they got over $8,500 in donations. Yeah, I was talking. I actually met with Wiley, the lead dev on Bodhi, on Sunday morning. We had a nice chat, but they aren't getting hardly anything in donations. I think he said a good month was $400, and they're more likely to get $60 a month than 400. And that's sad because it's a good distro. Okay, guys. Well, nothing else going on. I'm out of here.
Did we pick a topic?
Nope.
Not yet.
Not
You're
yet.
supposed to pick the topic after I leave, like you usually do.
No. Moss, pick a topic.
I don't have a topic. Whiskey.
Okay. Norbert, you need to study whiskey extensively between now and Sunday. Next Sunday.
Why?
Because our topic is whiskey.
But I don't approve of the topic.
Well, then pick another topic. Bye, guys.
See ya. I just an hour ago I just installed Xubuntu
No.
22.4.
If you have a topic idea, you can pitch in.
We will listen.
Not really.
What would you like to hear about on the next mintCast? Somebody checked the YouTube. I'm sure somebody responded.
So I'm thinking, if not laptops, is there another hardware big that would work?
NVIDIA.
Well, what's interesting is my previous laptop had a 6th gen i5 CPU. This one has a 11th gen i3, but it's even with an i3, it's a really good. I was told that on 1 to 2 threads, it's even on par with my 9th gen i5 that's on in my desktop. I never thought that I would. I never thought that I would go back from an i5 to an i3, but it just is great. And it wakes up from suspend noticeably faster than my previous laptop. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I have i3 in this laptop, 5th gen.
So okay, let's say we talk NVIDIA, but what would we talk about regarding NVIDIA? Because so
The drivers.
far, but yeah, so the drivers are not open source, and the firmware is probably not going to be open source for a long while. And I'm not sure there's much to say about the kernel modules because I think most of the things that is to be said about that has been already said. It's just it's a work in progress thing. It's an alpha. In and of itself, the kernel modules being open source, is it really much of an improvement? Because if the firmware is still closed source, so it's mostly just the fact that it's a good start to maybe getting more stuff open source and not just the open source kernel modules themselves.
Okay. Let's pick another topic then.
I mean, it could be a topic. I'm just not sure what I would, because we've covered it in the news last week, and I think we said most of the things we could say about that. Let me have a look at the list of my ideas. Oh, so it's still there in the drive. Okay, topic ideas. Cryptocurrencies.
Cryptocurrencies right now are a fun topic. The market.
Well,
I
as
don't know if we
someone
can make a
who
whole show out of it.
as someone who is not into crypto, I'm just hoping that graphics cards will be cheaper.
What, as the price bottoms out?
Yeah, as more people pull out from doing crypto, there will be more
With the
cheap
price
used
going
cards.
down, believe me, people are not going to be getting out of the crypto market. You might have long-term, not even long-term people, mid-term people that get out because they're all scared and everything, but anybody that's been in crypto for a long time is probably going to start buying things up. Or since they're assuming that everybody else is going to stop mining as the price bottoms out, they're going to start mining in order to have a higher probability chance of getting more. Because the price will go back up, and everybody knows it.
But if people start pulling out, then the prices will go down. Not the cards, but the coins will lose their worth, right? And then maybe that will make more people pull out.
Well,
Not
I think the difference is I really don't want the price to go down.
That makes sense.
Any more than it already has, anyway.
I also still have the making distro hopping and initial setup easier topic.
We can do that, but I mean, it's really simple stuff to make distro hopping easy.
And online privacy we did a few rig rundown.
We're always going to have to
already.
redo. We're always going to have to redo privacy stuff. It's an ever-changing target.
Yeah, it's a going topic.
We could also have shows where we choose a specific software or something and we use it for a week and then we talk about that. I can't say suddenly, but I would think would be a good choice for this.
We've done that before, and that's always fun.
I mean, we could also do like distros. Like
It
we
might
could have an episode.
annoy Moss, but yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah, so we could. I mean, that's his problem. We could cover 2204.
Okay.
Or maybe just an idea. If we don't do it, we could. I mean, I was going to say we could wait for Mint 21 to come out and then cover that and then talk about 2204 as well, but that might be too late compared to 2204 coming out.
Okay.
Don't have anything else. Just talk about Ubuntu.
All right, well, that actually might go okay with Moss since he's supposed to be installing as many Ubuntus as he can anyway. So let's just have everybody install and run stock Ubuntu for a week and say what they think.
I also have this written down, specific niche use cases where Linux stands out. So, for example, basically everywhere in like for scientific research and deep learning in physics, people run Ubuntu. And I think there was an episode of Linux, Destination Linux, where Jill said that the majority of the animation industry uses Linux. So like these specific use cases where
I saw an article where all of China, the government of China is going to be converting to Linux.
Yeah.
That would also be something interesting to talk about, considering how much that will affect the overall usage of Linux, the numbers.
Well, apparently the original deadline for that was 2022, and they are behind. So there was news about it because they just extended the deadline to 2024, and they would have to replace 50 million PCs.
I'm not surprised it's taking a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So the main goal, I think, is to replace computers with Chinese manufactured, so with Chinese brand computers, and while they are at it, they might as well just replace Windows with Linux because that way they could have better control over the software as well.
As long as they're not using the North Korea.
Yeah. I think China has something similar. Well, they could always just go for something like Deepin, which is already Chinese. They would probably not want to build a distro from scratch because I don't think they would want to maintain all the packages. They could just they will probably go for an Ubuntu base, and then Ubuntu Chilin and Deepin makes more sense at first sight, but maybe I'm not saying every angle.
It'd be something to do some research on before we get to the show.
Okay, so when I said the specific niche use cases where Linux stands out, it could be like something that you use Linux for, where Linux is much better than Windows. But I realized because we use Linux for almost everything, then we could just
How do we make the comparison?
Yeah. But like the examples that I gave is, for example, the animation industry runs Linux because there's a lot of software developed specifically for Linux. But I guess then there's also scientific research about that. I don't think that is also sort of obvious because generally in research they would use Linux. So maybe it's not as good a topic as I thought. But having Ubuntu 22.04 as a topic is still on the table. So maybe we could just, for now, go with that.
27. Count!
I was going to try it anyway when I learned that it has fractional scaling enabled by default.
Annoying. Where's 28 and 29? Damn it.
What?
Book series.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll check YouTube. Nobody said anything. They don't want us to do a show next Sunday.
Okay, so when I said I remember China having something similar to the North Korean Red Star was, so Aris sent me the link. It's Red Flag Linux. And he says they will probably use this. Well, having an OS named Red Flag Linux might be a red flag in itself.
Alright. I need to go hit those weights a whole lot harder. Are you wanting to host again next time? Or do you want me to do it?
I'm not sure.
Because Bill's not going to be
You could-
available.
Yeah, okay, you can do it.
Alright, I will do it.
You said you wanted to.
I do. I do want to. We just need a topic. Crack. We'll do it on crack. Oh.
Probably so. An idea, doing Ubuntu, but also with combining it a little challenge. So after you install it, you are not allowed to open the terminal and run Ubuntu like that for a week.
Why in God's name would I agree to that?
Because we would be able to test how suitable is it for people who don't want to use the terminal.
Why would I even want to know that?
Because the more user friendly it is, the better for adoption.
I like the terminal. I like people
I know.
that use the terminal.
I know, that's why I said it's a challenge.
It doesn't sound like a fun challenge, though. Like, at all. I mean, I'm willing to go for it if everybody else thinks it's a good idea, but... Ugh. No terminal?
Let's just agree on the Ubuntu.
Alright, tell everybody to install...
Just Ubuntu.
Tell
Okay.
everybody to install Ubuntu and run it for a week and see what they think. I got this lovely laptop here that I need to install something on anyway, because LMDE just isn't doing it for me anymore.
Oh, I was thinking of putting it on my laptop, but I realized that I still have my previous laptop, so I could put it on that.
And then I think tomorrow is going to be hardware day. I need a hardware day. I'm going to pull out some of the stack of laptops. I'm going to pull out some headphones that need work. I'm going to go out to the table. I'm going to set my son on one side and my soldering iron on the other. Pull out the voltmeter and get to work.
When you said you pulled out the stack of laptops, I imagined you lifting them. Just
Yeah,
using them as baits.
that happens. No, there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 laptops that I want to work on right now, but I gotta find the power adapter for 2 of them.
Oh, this new laptop is also my first laptop that can be charged by USB-C.
Well,
which I'm
technically,
really happy.
my Dell XPS 139360 here should be chargeable by USB-C, but it won't run from the battery that has 70% charge, and it won't charge the battery. And I've had 3 different batteries, all of them that are supposed to be new, so that shouldn't be the issue. So it's got to be something in the circuitry on the motherboard, and it's really pissing me off that I cannot find a diagram, a tutorial, a walkthrough, or anything. It's like, no, get another new motherboard. And then if it actually is the batteries, what do I do then? All I can do is pay like almost $300 and get one that's working, and then test all the batteries, and then test the output from the chips on both of them to see which one, or to see where the fault is on this motherboard here. I'm annoyed. Unless you have any ideas.
For fixing it,
Or testing to find out what's wrong on the 9360.
wait, okay, so you're saying that it should be chargeable by USB, but it's not.
No. It'll power from USB. It will turn on from USB-C. As long as I have it hooked up to something that'll push 20 volts. But I've had 4 different batteries in it, and they all say that they're not Dell batteries or won't charge or whatever. And new batteries, old batteries, it doesn't matter. They don't work. As soon as I disconnect power, it shuts off completely. But the internal diagnostics say that the battery is at 70% power.
So, do you have a power adapter for it that you can test
Yes,
it
I
with?
also have a power adapter for it.
And does it charge with that?
No.
Okay. Okay, so it's at first I thought it's a USB specific issue, but no, it's just
Because it will work either off of the barrel jack or USB-C.
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either. It's nuts.
So if you don't plug it in and you just try to turn it on with just the battery, does it turn on?
No.
So it's not able to pull power from the battery at all.
Correct. If I have it turned on while it's plugged in, and then I unplug it, it immediately turns off.
But it does see the battery.
It does see the battery, yes, and says it has 70% charge.
But you said it says it's not a official battery, but is it an official battery?
It is an official battery.
I don't know.
Insane.
I just haven't had much trouble with batteries like this too.
I think it's one of the power circuits that comes off. It should be like right after the battery, or maybe a MOSFET, or maybe a capacitor, but I can't find it because I don't have a whole lot of practice.
Oh. I remember my MSI laptop was one of those that you could change the battery without opening it up. So you could just pull a switch and you could take off the battery from the back of it.
I've had a lot of laptops like that. That's actually preferable because then you can, well, some of them are designed for hot swapping, and then either way, you could have a 2 charged batteries and then be on the go and pull one out and put the other one in. But no, like all modern laptops, it's all internal. I mean, it's not that hard to get to the battery. You take the back off and there's a connector, and then there's like 3 more screws.
I have a friend mentioning to me that some laptops have the battery glued to the underside of the keyboard or the palm rest, and he mentioned that MacBooks do this. And in those cases, if you have something wrong and your keyboard needs replacing, then they will just replace the entire thing, including the battery. So if you have a MacBook which is if you have still warranty, and you need to replace the keyboard, you can get like a bonus brand new battery with it, which is funny.
All right, I am going to end the stream now. End stream. End.